Somewhere under the sand outside Cairo right now, there's a door that nobody's allowed to open. Not because it's locked, not because there's nothing behind it, because of what they found the last time they did. Egypt has been dug up, mapped, photographed, and tweeted about for 200 years. You'd think every secret's already out. But there's a short list of places, real, documented, GPS coordinate places, that archaeologists opened, looked inside, and then made the call to seal right back up. Some because the walls were falling apart in front of them, some because a government decided nobody gets in, period. And one at least, because what they found made even the scientists nervous. Stick with me. Number 1 on this list is genuinely one of the strangest research blackouts in modern archaeology, and it's happening less than 10 miles from the Great Pyramid. Let's start in the Valley of the Queens, southwest of Luxor. There's a tomb here, QV66, that Egyptologists still call the Sistine Chapel of ancient Egypt. It belongs to Nefertari, the favorite wife of Ramesses the Great, and the paintings inside are almost unbelievable. Deep blues, gold leaf, her face rendered with more tenderness than you'll find in almost any other tomb in Egypt. Here's the problem. Those pigments are sitting on plaster, and that plaster started reacting with salt, crystallizing out of the bedrock. Add humidity from tourist breath, thousands of people a day, each one exhaling moisture into a sealed stone box, and you get flaking, bubbling, paint lifting clean off the wall. By the early 1990s, conservators realized they were watching the tomb die in real time. So Egypt did something almost unheard of. It shut the most beautiful tomb in the country to the public permanently and let a small nonprofit called Factum Arte spend years laser scanning every wall down to the millimeter. There's a full-scale replica near the site now. Tourists walk through that instead. The original stays dark, climate-locked, visited by maybe a handful of specialists a year. Honestly, it's one of the more responsible calls anyone's made in Egyptology. It's also a preview of a pattern you're going to see again and again on this list. The tombs, too important to keep open. Not far away, in the Valley of the Kings, there's an even bigger example. KV17, the tomb of Seti I, father of Ramesses the Great. It's the longest, deepest tomb ever cut in that valley. Over 300 feet of corridors and chambers, every surface covered in relief carving so fine it looks machine-made. Giovanni Belzoni found it in 1817 and spent years stripping out sections of painted wall to ship to European museums, which is its own ugly chapter. What's left is still staggering and still fragile. Rockfall, cracking, the same salt and humidity problem as Nefertari's tomb. Egypt closed it to general admission and, like QV66, brought in a small army of restorers instead. A few high-paying private tours occasionally get let in with a guide standing over their shoulder. Everyone else gets the postcard. Now here's one that isn't about crumbling paint at all. It's about water. And it took a UNESCO World Heritage necropolis and quietly locked its front gate for the better part of 2 decades. Saqqara, south of Cairo, sits on top of the Serapeum, a network of underground galleries built to bury the sacred apis bulls, animals the ancient Egyptians worshipped as living manifestations of the god Ptah. Each bull got its own multi-ton granite sarcophagus, polished smooth enough to see your reflection in it, sealed in a stone vault carved straight into bedrock. In 2001, engineers noticed the ceiling was moving. Water seepage from irrigation nearby was destabilizing the rock overhead, and cracks were spreading across galleries that had stood since roughly 1400 BC. Egypt closed the whole complex to visitors on the spot. For years, the only people who went down there wore hard hats and carried structural reports, not cameras. It eventually reopened in a limited way once the site was stabilized. But for most of 2 decades, one of the most important animal cult sites in the ancient world was a hole in the ground nobody was allowed near. Here's where it gets stranger. Not damaged, not decaying, just off limits by order of the Egyptian military since the 1960s. 3 miles from Giza, there's a site called Zawyet el-Aryan. Inside it, an enormous unfinished pyramid project abandoned partway through construction over 4,000 years ago. Nobody's entirely sure why or by whom. At its center is a T-shaped pit cut nearly 100 feet straight down into solid limestone, lined with granite blocks so precisely fitted they don't need mortar. An Italian excavator named Alessandro Barsanti documented it in the early 1900s and found at the bottom a sealed oval granite vessel. Whatever was inside it is gone. Nobody alive has seen it. Then, in the 1960s, the Egyptian government declared the whole area a military zone. It sits inside a firing range now. Every single research application to excavate further has been denied for over 60 straight years. The necropolis around the pyramid has literally been built over with military housing. Think about that. We have better photographs of the surface of Mars than we do of what's underneath that shaft because the one government with jurisdiction has decided, for reasons it's never fully explained, that nobody gets to look. Egyptologists half-jokingly call it Egypt's Area 51. It's not really a joke. Quick pause. If a mystery like that is exactly why you're watching this channel, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find videos like this one, and it takes 2 seconds. Back at Giza, there's a much smaller, much quieter version of the same story. Right next to the Sphinx, cut into the bedrock, is something called the Osiris Shaft. 3 levels descending nearly 100 feet, the bottom level sitting below the water table, with a stone sarcophagus resting on what looks like a deliberately built island surrounded by water. Some Egyptologists have speculated it might connect symbolically to the Osiris myth, the god of the underworld, reborn from water. Whatever it actually was for, it's kept locked and closed to the public. Even researchers need special permission to get down there. Most tourists standing 20 feet away at the Sphinx have no idea it exists at all. Then there's the pyramid that almost killed the people building it and nearly got permanently locked because of it 4,500 years later at Dashur. The bent pyramid gets its name because the builders changed the angle of the slope partway up, probably because the original angle was too steep and the structure was showing signs of collapse mid-construction. You can still see internal cracking today. For roughly 50 years, its interior chambers were closed to everyone but researchers because engineers weren't confident the passages were stable enough for regular foot traffic. It only reopened to visitors in 2019. Half a century of comeback later on a building that's been standing since before the wheel was common in Egypt. Nearby, at Meidum, there's a pyramid that didn't just crack, it failed outright. Most of its outer casing collapsed in antiquity, probably during construction or shortly after, leaving a strange tower-like core surrounded by a mountain of its own rubble. Local tradition calls it el-Haram el-Kadab, the false pyramid. Because loose casing stone still occasionally shifts, access has been tightly restricted for safety for long stretches at a time. It's one of the loneliest major pyramids in Egypt to visit. No crowds, no gift shop, just a genuinely unstable 4,000-year-old structure that nobody wants to be standing next to if it decides to move again. Now for something newer. In 2023, at Saqqara, archaeologists cracked open a rock-cut tomb complex and found something they weren't expecting inside an already known Second Dynasty burial. Roman-era catacombs tucked into the same rock, centuries younger than the mummies beside them. Terracotta statues of Isis and her son Harpocrates. An adult mummy, a child mummy, gold leaf funerary masks. It's a genuinely rare find. 2 completely different eras of Egyptian religious life layered on top of each other in the same tomb. And right now, it's simply not open. Egyptologist Hani Abu el-Azam, part of the team, has said plainly that these things aren't ready for tourists yet. No infrastructure, no lighting, no safe walkway. So for now, it stays sealed behind a rope and a locked gate while the excavation continues. Back in Luxor, at the Dra Abul Naga necropolis, 2 small tombs sat completely sealed for nearly 3 decades after their discovery in 1990. Not because of collapse or military order, just careful, patient excavation. One held a mummy, believed to be either a scribe named Mati or an official named Jehutimes. The other hadn't even been fully excavated when Egypt finally opened both in 2017 to promote tourism. 27 years, a mummy, painted walls, statues, just waiting behind a door nobody had gotten around to opening yet. And that brings us to the one nobody's finished with. In 2017, using cosmic ray muon scanning, technology originally built to peer inside volcanoes and nuclear reactors, a team of Japanese and French researchers found something inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu that had gone completely unnoticed for 4,500 years. A void above the Grand Gallery, roughly 100 feet long, big enough to be an entire second passage or chamber. Nobody's opened it. Nobody's even sure how, without risking the stability of the most famous building on Earth. In recent years, a second entrance corridor was confirmed near the original one, about 27 feet long, blocked by a limestone wall leading toward that same mysterious space. Small robotic cameras have peeked through gaps and seen a cavity, possibly as large as the king's chamber itself, and inside it, something that looks like the top of a wall or structure nobody has a name for yet. The largest, most studied building in human history, and there's a room inside it that not one living person has ever stood in. Here's the thing that gets me about this whole list. It's not one story. It's 10 different reasons. Crumbling paint, cracking rock, a firing range, a bureaucratic backlog, a scanner that can see through solid stone, and every single one of them ends the same way. Humans deciding, on purpose, to close a door they just opened. We talk about ancient Egypt like it's a finished book. It's not. It's a book where entire chapters are sitting right there on the shelf, sealed shut, waiting for the right combination of money, technology, and patience to read them. Some of those chapters might stay closed for another 60 years. Some might open next year. If you had to pick just one of these to be unsealed tomorrow, the pyramid the military won't let anyone near, or that void inside the Great Pyramid, which one are you more curious about? Drop it in the comments. And before you go, if you made it this far, that alone means you should be subscribed. Hit that button because there are a lot more sealed doors like these coming, and you don't want to miss them.